The following podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. Like what you hear? Want more of it ad-free, uncensored, and earlier? Sign up today at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca and start getting more for as little as $2 a month.
Welcome to We Have Till 5, part of WrestleMedia, where everything is wrestling and wrestling is everything. I'm Andrew Kent. With me, as always, is Cole Miller. How you doing today, Cole?
I'm doing pretty well. I had a pretty relaxed day. Looking forward to catching the basketball game tonight. Not that I'm a basketball fan, but as we talked about earlier, I am a Toronto fan. So, you know what? I don't think I'm going to miss it, and I'm hoping that it ends well.
We are recording just about a full week early. It is currently the night before Game 2. So hopefully by the time you listen to this, the Raptors are one step closer to victory. Should be. I mean, or
they took it.
I guess they could have won in the next week.
Yeah,
so
they could have.
Hopefully we're ridiculously behind the times talking about Game 2, and the Raptors are celebrating a big victory, and Toronto is hopefully not burning to the ground. With victory in their minds.
Oh, Canadians know how to riot with sports. It's bad.
Oh, don't even get me started, man.
I am worried about cars.
I was encouraged by the Toronto police confirming that there were 0 arrests during the celebrations following the Game 6 win over the Bucks.
Probably because half of them were police officers.
Speaking of the Bucks, Cole, what are we talking about today?
Well, today we won't be talking about the Young Bucks, but we will be talking about AEW Double or Nothing.
Well, I mean, technically you're still talking about the Young Bucks because
they'll come up.
You know, they're they sort of are part owners of the company and a big part
they
of that.
Are.
So what specifically are we talking about? AEW and Double or Nothing.
Aren't wrestling monikers like the worst things to pronounce? They take so long. WWE.
Well,
sorry,
only if you're Michael Cole. WWE champion.
Anyways, that's a side point. But
if you're Kurt Angle, it's more like WWE.
WWE.
That's Kurt Angle trying to say WWE.
Way too many syllables. Anyways, we are going to be talking about the top 5 AEW Double or Nothing moments, which was just over a week ago at this point.
Yeah. As of this recording, it was a week
yesterday.
A week ago. Yep.
It's still fresh.
Overall, just before we get into your actual list, I gotta try to do some plugs here. I'm still learning that part of the show, but it's gotta be done. It's gotta be done, or I'm gonna get fired. Give us what did you sort of think of the show overall as a whole?
I thought it was a pretty good show. As I've said before, I'm much more of an NXT fan than I am of a main roster fan. And I think it has more of that feel. And I liked that. Like, it was more, I guess, indie style, not as production developed. But I thought it was a good show. There were some high spots. There were some low spots. Another thing that I've actually really enjoyed is how inclusive and representative their first pay-per-view was.
What do you mean?
Well, for one, Brandy Rhodes stated at the beginning of the pay-per-view that it was going to be the first, what's the phrase? Sensory limited wrestling event.
Okay.
So because there are a lot of wrestling fans who have autism or some other sort of mental, I don't know the right word.
I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, and so for all these people, it's the lights and the sounds and everything can be a lot for them, and it can cause them to go into panic attacks. So they were handing out kits which had headphones and sunglasses, and they actually had a room set aside for people who wanted to leave and go into a quieter space where they could watch it but still experience it. So I was really excited about that. One, they're bringing in people from all across the world, people from China and Japan and a lot of other places. There are one of the first major transgender wrestlers. Then you also have Sonny, what is his name?
Sonny Kiss.
Sonny Kiss, who is an openly gay wrestler, and it was just a really nice to see they're not hiding these things. It's not like the old wrestling where everybody is white and male and
sure.
the same size.
You know what? And I just want to highlight the Nyla Rose stuff. Any politics aside, you shouldn't be able to get any level of where I stand politically by my statement on this. What I like is that people know that she is a transgender wrestler, but It doesn't feel like a publicity stunt, and it doesn't feel like a political statement. No. It's just, she is a good wrestler.
And her match was good.
And that's what it is. And that is, I swear to goodness, that is politics aside. That's just, I appreciate that, whether I was left, whether I was right, whether I agree with it, whether I don't. I just like that it didn't feel like a political statement. It felt like a wrestling company hiring a good wrestler. And I really like that. And you know what? I don't think the WWE would have been able to show that kind of restraint one way or the other. They would either,
no.
They would just, I mean, everybody knows that Vince McMahon is a Republican backer. So not only would he very possibly not hire somebody like that, I don't mean to sort of drag through the mud. It's just the reality of the situation. But also, I just think that if they did, oh my gosh, would they be on every talk show all over the planet? Just look how great the WWE is for me. And I just really appreciate AEW for that. Just sort of, hey, we hired a great wrestler. I think that's awesome, and maybe I'm not the authority on that, being just, as Adam likes to say, a mediocre white dude. But either way, that really stood out to me, and I really appreciate that.
And they're also just taking no crap from the fans. They've already banned somebody from attending shows because of homophobic things that they were yelling at the show.
Wow,
that was something the Young Bucks tweeted. Somebody posted it, and they're like, yep, he's never allowed again.
Wow.
So they're supporting their wrestlers, they're supporting their business, and no other thing matters for them.
Good. I don't really know how to segue from what we were just talking about into the plugs.
Speaking of AEW, there you go. There's your segue.
Well, no, because I got to talk plugs here, Cole. So, so what I'm actually going to do is just go right into it. So you can catch us. So WrestleMedia, for those of you who might be just listening for this for the very first time, we're a network of podcasts and but not only podcasts, we're blogs and we're newsletters and we're video content, and we're just a bunch of guys and, one girl, but that's all you need because Jenny's the best, who just love wrestling and love to talk about wrestling. And if this is the sort of thing that you want to be part of, please join us at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. We have some tiers over there. There's low tiers, there's higher tiers, there's advertiser tiers. Whatever it is that you like, you get bonus content, you'll get rights to vote in polls. I know we've given away free merch. There's lots of contests that you can be part of. And just for a couple bucks over there at Patreon, you can help make our dream come true here at WrestleMedia. As well, you can head over to WrestleMedia.ca. That is our website. All of our podcasts are there. There's also blogs that we get posted. There was a great one posted recently by Adam on the Bray Wyatt stuff. And I believe Aaron Rakowski wrote a really riveting one just the other day, and head over there to check it out. Make sure when you do, you sign up for our newsletter so you know where we're at, because this is kind of a summer tour for WrestleMedia where Adam has been going all over the place, handing out WrestleMedia gear, getting, meeting wrestling fans at the indie shows around the place. We were in Napanee with Chinlock, and coming up on June 15th, we're going to be at Chinlock 5, the Legends Convention, as well as the wrestling event. Come check us out there. Sign up for our newsletter over WrestleMedia.ca and be part of the wrestling revolution. Help us out in that way. Thank you so much, everyone. All right, Cole. What are we talking about this week specifically? We're talking your 5 favorite moments, or just 5 moments that stood out. Are we talking favorite?
My top 5 moments, but also taking into consideration things that I think are important and impactful about the event that happened.
Awesome.
So there's things on this list which, like, some things aren't matches. Like, it's just something that happened, but I think the thing that happened means a lot for the future of the company and the wrestling universe as a whole.
Awesome. Well, that was beautifully vague. So how about you start us off with number 5 and let us know kind of what we're talking about.
So number 5, I am taking a personal one for this one, and this might not mean a lot to most people.
Oh, can I guess what this is going to be?
Oh, you can guess what it is. I'm sure you can.
10!
No!
10! What? Really?
No, it's not even that.
Oh!
No,
right.
It's something else.
I'll shut
something
up.
that stood out more. It's the debut of the Super Smash Bros.
Oh, see, you know what? That went over. It was actually funny. I watched their debut. Now, I am a big Super Smash Bros. Fan. I have a Super Smash Bros. T-shirt. I saw Stu Grayson when he came up, with Smash Wrestling, and I met him. He's a really, really, really sweet guy. He's been on a couple of Colt Cabanas podcasts. I really like and appreciate that guy very much. So I popped really big when I heard that they were there. But here's sort of the criticism, and I can't refute the criticism of it.
Yeah.
Is that when you put yourself in a position where you do that spot where the match is over, the bell rings, and then the lights go out, and then when they turn back on, you kind of have a responsibility, I guess, of like putting people out there who the fans know who will actually pop for.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
It is very weird. I appreciate very much that they're trying to put over new talent.
Everybody was chanting, "Who are you?" And it was disappointing as somebody who knows who they are.
Sure.
And I was sitting in front of my computer with my hands in the air, like, so excited that these Toronto boys were at AEW. But also, on the other side of things, they're doing something that not a lot of, like, they're creating talent. Like, these guys are known in certain circles. They have wrestled in ROH. They have wrestled in PWG, Shikara, Smash Wrestling, and a bunch of other indies. But the wide audience doesn't know who they are. So they're introducing these people to a massive fan base. And that also shows that the company has a lot of faith in them.
Sure. And just to sort of like play devil's advocate to my own criticism. Now, again, that wasn't my criticism. It's just criticism that I've heard. So I guess my refute to that is, listen, like, AEW is trying to turn wrestling on its head. So why not take a big wrestling spot and instead of putting out some, washed up sort of like wrestling legend in the position where it's like, holy crap, I don't know who it would be, but like, oh my gosh, it's the NWO. Instead of putting that out, while that would be worthy of the spot and it would probably get a pop in the moment, they put these guys out there, and what they did to the fans is they said, listen, we know you don't know who these guys are, but they're a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal that we have them. We're happy to have them. We're proud to have them. And they're going to be a big deal moving forward. So I think it was a great spot to debut them in, even though it sort of went over a little iffy in the arena because they didn't know who they were. And I'm sure they were expecting somebody like a Moxley or like a CM Punk or Johnny Nitro or,
well, I'm sure they're also like for
that.
the tag team thing. I'm sure they're like, if the fans were probably like, oh, why didn't you bring in the Bullet Club or other, I don't know many of the indie tag teams, but I feel like a lot of the fans went there expecting an indie fest with all people that they already know and are excited to see in another company. When it's not that. They're starting a complete new brand with new names, old names, everything in between. And this was just one of the people who is a new name. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see where they go. They've already wrestled the Young Bucks. So there is a rapport between them. So it's only going to get better for them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So, I mean, while I think number 5 is personal for both you and I think we could go one step further and sort of broaden that moment. And number 5 is just AEW is truly trying to make new stars.
Yeah, and it's exciting.
And they're putting new stars in positions to succeed.
Yeah.
I think that's unbelievable.
Well, and that, if we're done with this one, that brings me into number 4.
Sure.
Because it's part of the reason why I put this one at number 4 is the Casino Battle Royal, which was on the buy-in or the pre-show.
Sure.
And so there were 21 people in this match. Most people probably haven't heard of most of them. It was a lot of new names, and that is so exciting. It's bringing these people up and saying, listen, here are some great wrestlers. Get to know them because they're here in the company to stay.
So, now that's one of the matches that I didn't see. So kind of walk me through this really quick. So how was this different than something like the Andre the Giant Battle Royal?
Yeah.
Which is universally basically jeered and nobody cares about it. And it's usually on the pre-show, and who cares about the pre-show? Why did this make a list? And I know a guy like you, and this isn't a criticism of you as a wrestling fan, but a guy like you would never put the Andre the Giant Battle Royal on a list. So how is this different? Defend it.
There are a couple things. One, do you know the premise of the match?
Very vaguely.
So
I know the winner got the shot against Jericho or Omega, and I know that they brought out 4 guys at a time.
5 guys.
5 guys at a time, all part of a different suit. But I don't know what it was all about.
Yeah, so it's not like just a battle royal where everybody's in the match to be like it. So there was a level of excitement, like who's going to come out. There were names that weren't mentioned. It was, I don't know, it was just elevated in some way. Because it's new and because they're introducing all these new people, it made it something unique and exciting, unlike the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which is just like, here's all the people who we don't actually like, but need to put somewhere on this show.
Sure. So, yeah, if what I'm gathering is fair, it's like, it wasn't different in like, that it was a bunch of guys who we couldn't fit on the card, but we want to introduce you to. So it was a bunch of undercard guys like the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, but it kind of had a cool concept. There was something good that actually came from it, and it was. I could see this getting the exact same sort of disdain that the Andre the Giant Battle Royal gets if it never goes beyond that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Is that fair?
Yeah. Like, I think as it stands, it was much more, like the Royal Rumble than the Battle Royal. Like, even though it wasn't on the main card, it kind of served the same purpose. Oh, the winner of this gets a title shot. So it had purpose and meaning, unlike the Andre the Giant, which is just, oh, you get a big ugly trophy, and we're probably not going to do anything with you. Unless you're Baron Corbin and they still don't know what they're doing with him.
They shouldn't be doing anything with him.
No, they shouldn't. That's
no. I think that's a good one. I mean, that stood out to you. I can't really add to that one just because I didn't see it, but I think you kind of defended your point well about why it was, different than something that is basically universally hated in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. All right.
Just to throw out some of the names.
Absolutely.
So there were people like Billy Gunn, Glacier, Tommy Dreamer. So this was also their chance to bring in some old people who fans could get excited about, which was
# Glacier for Hall of Fame, by the way.
Okay, let's do it. But you also brought out new people like Dustin Thomas. Have you ever heard of him?
Nope.
He is a double leg amputee wrestler.
Ooh, okay. I have heard of him. I just didn't know his name.
And he eliminated Shawn Spears.
Attaboy.
It was a cool spot.
Who cares about Shawn Spears?
I care about Shawn Spears.
I think I'm the only person who
in Canada who doesn't like Shawn
indie wrestling who just doesn't get the whole Shawn Spears thing. I just, he's not bad. I got nothing against him. I don't want anybody to think that I hate him. It's just, I don't know why people love him so much. He came out and he got the number 10 over. Whatever. I mean, good for him. That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll
he got
see
number 10
how
over.
he does.
Daniel Bryan got yes over, and Jericho got, the word it over and a scarf over, and he's unbelievable. So who am I to judge? But no, don't get it.
Yeah. you also had, there was a guy who came out, Orange Cassidy, who I've never heard of before. But his whole shtick is that he, like, doesn't care. So he stood in front of Tommy Dreamer, had his hands in his pocket, and was just doing, like, the lightest kicks against him. And it was hilarious.
That's kind of awesome.
And then Tommy Dreamer knocked him down, and he still had his hands in his pockets, and he, like, did the hop back up. And it was great. It was hilarious. It was just...
I mean, I don't know what you do with a character like that.
No, I don't know. We'll see where it goes, but...
That's awesome.
Another thing that was great, I just have to say, this was also their opportunity to introduce wrestlers from every style. Which you don't really get in WWE.
Sure.
So they had Jimmy Havoc, who is a well-known deathmatch wrestler from the UK.
Joey Janela?
Yeah, Joey Janela. You had Luchasaurus.
Oh yeah, I watched him on Big Brother.
Yeah, like
I really did. I guess I'm not closeted anymore, but I'm a Big Brother fan. I absolutely watched Austin, I believe his name is, when he was on Big Brother. So that's pretty cool. I'm happy to have Luchasaurus.
You introduced Japanese style, deathmatch style, luchador style, a bunch of like really small guys, like what's his name?
Jungle Boy, I think.
Well, Jungle Boy, and also another guy, Marco Stunt.
Okay.
Who's like 22 and half the size of Jungle Boy.
Half the size of Jungle Boy?
Oh, he was so small. It was weird. Wow. I thought he was like 14. So it was really cool to see all these different kinds of styles come in, which will also hopefully continue in the company as they highlight Japanese strong style, luchador wrestling, possibly, hopefully not to a huge extent, deathmatch style, but some like level of hardcore in there. Yeah. I mean, he did pull out a staple gun for half of the match, which was weird.
Which I heard led to a pretty cool spot where he staple gunned a cigarette to, I believe it was Joey Janela's forehead.
Yeah, and then he also...
And then the cigarette was smoking for like...
Yeah.
That's pretty... I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm not so... That's cool.
Yeah. It was cool. It was a good match. And you also had Hangman Adam Page win, and he's a person who... people who don't know the indies won't know, but should know and will continue to watch as the year goes on.
Cool.
Yep. So, yeah, I'm done with that one now. That was everything.
Good. No, I think you defended your point well. All right, what do you got for number 3?
Number 3 might surprise people. It's SEU versus the Strong Hearts. Did you get to see this one?
Talk to me about this match. There was nothing about this that like stood out. It was fine. Like I
thought it was the best tag match of the night. Actually,
wow. Yeah, fair enough.
It was so SEU is Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky.
Sure,
3 very talented people. Strong Hearts is a tag team from OWE, which is Oriental Wrestling Entertainment, so it's a Chinese brand coming into the US. I think they're coming to the city for a Smash show, I think. Or some OWE wrestlers are.
The city being Toronto?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So Chima, T-Hawk, and Lindemann, who are 3 Japanese or Chinese wrestlers somewhere in that region. So it was exciting to see them bringing in these foreign wrestlers and highlighting them in this way against well-known American indie wrestlers.
And you know what? This is something that WCW had done really well at the start of their existence. So I think you're hitting the nail on the head with this one, just in the sense that they can't just use all these ex-WWE guys.
No, they can't.
It can't. They'll just make all the same mistakes WCW made, all the mistakes TNA made, and they'll just look like they'll just be a loser again. So what they're doing, WCW at the beginning, they really highlighted foreign talent. They had working relationships with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they brought in guys like Ultimo Dragon, and they brought in guys like Psychosis and Rey Mysterio, and they found wrestlers from across the sea, across the pond, whether they were foreign or not. They highlighted these other styles, and they highlighted these guys. They actually excelled at making new stars. And they excelled at showing you what pro wrestling really could be and should be. At a time where WWE was pretty stagnant. There's a very, very, very good reason that the WCW was winning in the ratings, and it doesn't just have to do with the NWO, while that was a huge part. And AEW, they showed glimpses of being able to sort of do this very same thing with this pay-per-view. Was there anything specific about the match that stood out to you? Because again, the match itself didn't really, I'm not going to say didn't do anything for me. It felt like a good solid pay-per-view 6-man tag.
Yeah. So there were three tag team matches on the card, I believe. The other one was
another 6-person, right? It was a female 6-person tag?
Oh, there was a female 6, so 4 tag matches, actually. Because the Best Friends versus Angelico and Jack Evans.
Totally forgot about that one.
Well, that was ended with Super Smash Bros., so I thought Super Smash Bros. Outshone it, but...
Yeah, fair enough.
There wasn't really anything memorable about that one, unfortunately. I think that's actually one of the lowest rated matches on the card. The women's tag match was actually rated lower, partially because of some botches that happened in there with the ring bell and other things. You heard about that, right?
It sucks when something like that sort of
not their fault, and it's really sucks. And then there was the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros, which was a good match, but not my favorite style.
Well, I mean, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll talk about this later. But I actually think that this 6-person tag was a great tag match because it highlighted real tag style. So they were cutting off the ring. They had one person attacking the main guy while another guy ran over to the corner and knocked the 2 guys off. They were using their team. They were using the ring. There was psychology, there was story. It was exciting seeing these Asian wrestlers come and well versed, and they knew what they were doing, and they had some really cool spots. Yeah, it was a solid match.
That's all. No, and that's a good point because
and they actually sold things, which you don't see in.
I don't know exactly where you're going with the list, so I don't want to hop the list. So maybe I'll elaborate exactly on what I mean by tag team wrestling a little later on, maybe after when we talk sort of like ups and downs. But I know what you're saying, man. I'm a huge fan of tag wrestling when it's done right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was done well. It was easy to follow. They sold things. It was good. And it was also cool, as you were talking about before, how other wrestling companies brought people in from overseas. They didn't just do that, but they also highlighted their company. They're not going the WWE route of we're going to bring these people in, but never talk about the career that this person had in New Japan.
Sure.
It was this is our tag team from OWE. And they had their logo up there, so it showed a much broader perspective of the whole wrestling industry, which was cool too.
Yeah. No, I like that. I appreciate that.
So, number 2. Are we done with that one?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm ready.
Number 2 is Cody versus Dustin Rhodes.
Wow. I can't believe this isn't number 1.
It was the best match of the night. Number 1 isn't a match. That's why. It's a moment. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to disagree with you. I think this where I would fight you on it, and we'll see what your number one is, but I mean, I think I can guess at this point. But to me, this was not only the best match of the night, but it was, for me personally, it was the best moment of the night.
Yeah.
It encapsulated everything that pro wrestling could, and I'm not going to say should, because not every wrestling match should look like this. I don't need the high drama in every single match. Sometimes I just want to see, a match that is just about who the best wrestler is, But this was something special. This was something that, Cody and Dustin had wanted to do for years. They had a couple opportunities to wrestle each other in WWE, but I don't think they were ever really allowed to do what they wanted to do with it.
This match definitely wouldn't have been allowed in WWE as it stands right now. Yeah.
But even blood aside, because I don't think this match needed the blood to be as dramatic as it was.
No, but that was a whole lot of blood, man.
Yeah. I mean, it sure was. You're not incorrect about that in any way, shape, or form.
It was. I was worried for his health. So at one point.
Yeah. It was pretty gruesome. But the moment after this match, so they go up and they have a great match, by all accounts. It's, it's no 5-star Matt Classic when it comes, we're not talking, Kurt Angle, wrestling Brock Lesnar here. We're not talking about, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, and Samoa Joe. It wasn't a 5-star Matt Classic, but to me, this is, are the ratings out? Do you have Meltzer's ratings for this as of this recording?
I haven't seen them.
No, and they usually don't come out. They usually don't come out until later. I just wasn't sure because if this match isn't rated 5 stars, I'd be very surprised. Because I think this match, wrestling mixed with actual drama and actual storyline, I think was perfect. I think this is as perfect a wrestling match as you can get without looking like Omega and Okada. Because they don't wrestle like Omega Okada. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But on a level of being a little bit more like CM Punk and John Cena from Money in the Bank 2011, this is right there. Just high drama, crowd interested in it, and then the promo afterwards, the feel good moment, the dad stuff. Anybody who knows kind of about how the Rhodes grew up, like they had a tough childhood. And there was actual resentment between Dustin and Dusty, and there actually was resentment between Cody and Dustin, and this was real, and it felt actually therapeutic, and it felt like an actual good moment. Dustin has gone on record as to say it was the greatest night of his life. I'm not even sure he said professional career. I think he said this was the greatest moment of my life. And that's something. And what sort of stood out for you about it, and why did it, you might have to get into your number one to be able to tell me exactly why this didn't win out, but was there any aspect about it that sort of was like, well, this was pretty good, but
no,
landed at number 2?
I think it was perfect as it stands. And if it was just like looking at the event stand alone with no other thing outside of Double or Nothing, this would be number 1 and should be number 1. So I think it outshines everything in terms of match quality, emotional value, storytelling. Like everything about it was great and easy to follow and brought the crowd in. But the reason it's at number 2 is because number 1 goes much more beyond. I think the meaning of number 1, and most people can probably guess this at this point, but it goes beyond just this night, and it affects the whole industry.
Well, why don't we just get there to number 1, and we can kind of flip back and forth between 1 and 2, just so we don't have to speak in code. Go ahead and tell us why number 1 transcends sort of the event itself.
So, as Andrew probably knows, and most people know, number 1 is the debut, the freedom, the emancipation of Jon Moxley. And I think it transcends the night because it is the first time in a long time, like, that somebody has a main event WWE wrestler has left for another company. Like, Chris Jericho kind of, but he left on good terms. Not good terms anymore.
Well, and he was in and out with the company at that point.
Yeah.
You know, Jon Moxley, who was, for anybody who for some reason doesn't know what we're talking about, Jon Moxley wrestled as Dean Ambrose in WWE, you know, and had a pretty prolific career. Not in the sense that, like, I don't think he's going to go down as one of the all-time greats, but he's definitely part of one of the all-time great stables. And he wrestled something like 380 matches in 2016 or something like that. Like, It was ridiculous. He was an absolute workhorse.
He's held every title on the main roster. Like, the only reason he won't go into the Hall of Fame as an individual wrestler is if there's just resentment there. Because I wouldn't put it past the company. Like, we're just not going to put him in because he left and he went and helped this other brand. But I think he will be in minimum once for being part of the Shield, most likely twice. I know you weren't a big fan of his wrestling.
I really wasn't a big fan of Dean Ambrose. I really wasn't. I'm excited for
him to actually do what he wants.
Because I did listen to the Chris Jericho podcast. Obviously, you know, the title, Emancipation of Jon Moxley sort of came from that. So obviously you heard it as well. And I'm excited to see what he feels that he could actually do.
Yeah.
But I don't see how that's going to change his in-ring work. So while his character might improve for me, I'm not sure, and I'm not a fan of, like, garbage, you know, deathmatch wrestling, which is something Jon Moxley was known for.
Yeah. Back in his CZW days.
I would be very curious to see if there's anything in the ring that he felt like he could still add. I expect there to be character stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was no big Dean Ambrose fan. I really wasn't. I liked him in the Shield. And then I felt like he just fell completely flat after as a character, and maybe because I thought his character was so lame and because he was so not motivated in that role. You know, it's totally possible that it's totally possible that, you know, his wrestling suffered because he felt like he wasn't motivated in the company. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. Where I think you're absolutely right, and where I might have just talked my way out of Dustin and Cody being my number one, is I think the idea that that this moment transcended but so does the road stuff. Okay, it's not my list this week. It doesn't matter where I rank them. So I'm just gonna I'm just gonna share my thoughts on it. Jon Moxley and his thoughts on WWE and the way that he was used and the way that he left the company. First and foremost, I'm not saying that I blame anybody who's asking WWE for their release. I'm not here to crap on people who are unhappy and want out. But Jon Moxley did not do that.
No.
He simply told them he's not resigning. He didn't want out early. He just was going to ride out his time. And I respect that. I think that's tremendous. You signed a contract. It sucks that the contract sucks, and it sucks that you're not being used. But you signed the contract. And, you know, maybe just leave with your head up. Do whatever you have to do.
Well, and just talking about him more, like, if we are to believe everything that he said in the Chris Jericho podcast, which I have no reason not to believe him, he did everything in his power to make working in WWE a healthy environment for him. And it just didn't work. So he had to get out. He also wasn't worried about the money. He said that they never even talked money with AEW. Like, he's just excited to wrestle. And I also have a lot of respect for that. Like, it's not a business decision. It's a personal decision that he just wants to do this. And so he's doing it.
Yeah.
And I think also him doing this is giving a lot, whether people see this as a good thing or a bad thing, it's making people who are on the WWE roster think about where they are and realize that is a way out and another option. That's why I think it transcends everything, and it really means something for the universe as a whole.
I agree. I'll offer my perspective on what I think it transcends and why Moxley is such a great fit for AEW at this point. Cody left the company.
Yep. Citing,
honestly, very similar things. And Cody was not a main eventer. Maybe he should have been, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He was playing Stardust, but even before he was in Legacy, being the henchman, and he was playing sort of like the handsome guy with the mustache, and then the guy with the broken face, and he was a great wrestler, but he was not a main eventer. So to have him leave the company, get to such a place where his success is so great that he feels like he could open up his company, I feel like that's something that Jon Moxley really fits into.
Yeah.
He represents that. He understands what this company is about. It's not solely to compete with WWE. And if that's what they're looking to do, and I'm going to talk about that in my lowlights a little bit, if their sole purpose is to crush WWE, they will fail like WCW did. But if their goal is to create competition and be their own entity and succeed, like, to the point where they change the wrestling business, if they're more focused on just having a good product, I think they'll succeed. They have every right to succeed. They have a lot of great minds going on there. They can't just look to crush Vince McMahon because it's not going to go that way.
But hearing Moxley and other people talk about it, I don't think that is their intent. As it definitely Moxley.
Cody Rhodes crushing a throne with a sledgehammer?
Yes. I
hated that. I hated that so much. I thought it was, I hated that. So don't tell me that it's not on their radar.
It's on their radar. And yeah, the Cody thing was just too on the nose and unnecessary. But in the podcast, Moxley talked about how his hope is that WWE will also get better and succeed from this.
Yeah.
He wants this to, if they're challenging them, it's with the hope that it will make the company realize that things are not right there and they can do better. And I think that's like the best outcome.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for as a wrestling fan. That's what I'm hoping for as a fan of these of this business, of the people in it. Certainly what it is that I'm hoping for. Absolutely, for sure. Give me two things that you didn't. I already gave you one. So I've done a low light. I hated the throne thing. I thought that was on the nose. I thought it was petty. I thought it was I thought they got away from what they should be looking at. I thought it was really, 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 really stupid. And I wish one person would have just said, Cody, maybe we don't need this. It's money we don't need to spend, and it's a message we don't need to put out. So how about, you give me one more? I definitely have one more low light. Give me something you didn't like about the show.
Something I didn't like. I don't know, there was a lot that I did like. I didn't like the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers. I thought for what it was, it's a really good match, but it's like, they didn't sell anything. It was very quick paced. They're all very talented people, but I'm not sure if that's like,
I think I don't think that sort of wrestling is sustainable. That was my other one as well. I decided to go with that. I didn't love this match. I really didn't. I don't think that there was enough psychology. And personally, and I might have been able to forgive it if I don't feel like it really wrecked the main event. I think it really, 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 really hurt the finish of Jericho Omega. I really do. I think, now, whether you think Chris Jericho should have gone over clean over Kenny Omega, you know, in the first big AEW event, I don't know what I think should have happened. I know they want all these clean winners and they don't want draws, and obviously they want Jericho to, I think Jericho is going to be the first AEW champion. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think I like that as a heel. I normally would be against having a WWE guy be your first champion, but sort of the route that he's going, I want to thank you. I want a thank you from all of you fans. I'm not here for AEW. I am here because I am AEW. The only reason you guys are here is because I think that makes for a great first champion.
Yeah.
And he never has to mention WWE once. It's just, I'm Chris Jericho. That's why I'm the champion. And that's why you're all here.
Yeah.
I think is an easy first heel champion. And then I think when Adam Page or Kenny Omega beats him for that title, it's going to mean a lot. So I think that's the direction they're going.
Well, cause I also think they want to see Moxley versus Omega, because I think that's where that's the logical thing that I see next.
Yep. Well, yeah, that's certainly what they set up.
So, but I don't know, something I struggle with the company is your 5 chairs are all wrestlers. So I don't think they're petty enough to be like, I'm just going to put the belt on myself. But it's not a conflict of interest, but like it puts a weird dynamic on these matches.
They'll have to be very careful for sure.
Yeah. So watching that match, I don't know, it's like Triple H putting himself into WrestleMania every year.
But I think there's a way to do it that doesn't come off like that. So hopefully they're able to toe that line.
Yeah.
But it's
just a weird dynamic that they're going to have to be.
But yeah, but what I mean by the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros, kind of wrecking the finish to the main event is that I have no problem with a back elbow that looked that stiff ending a match. I really don't. I think it looks way better than Jon Moxley's double arm DDT. I'm just gonna come out and say that. But where it looked stupid and it came out of nowhere is because we just watched 4 guys literally kick out of everything for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And then these guys go out, and don't get me wrong, like, yeah, okay, the V-trigger might be able to finish a match or whatever. Like, it's not that they kicked out of nothing in the Jericho Omega match, but it made sense. I like the way that they kind of sold it after. It was one of the bright spots on commentary when it was like, and just in match psychology, Jericho never went for that move once. It's not like he missed it a bunch of times, and he hit it once. That move's over. Okay, this is what finishes a match. So, but I think that the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks, I think they hurt that finish. I think it made it look lame.
Yeah, I agree. Also, their finish wasn't great. It was kind of botched.
Yeah.
One of the, I can't tell those, I don't know what their names are, but one of the brothers, Matt or Nick, kind of missed that spot.
Sure.
Like, he got it, but like only just, and I don't know, that also left a bad taste in my mouth. Before we end for the day, for this episode, there are just a couple honorable mentions that I wanted to bring up. Some really cool spots that I think were a highlight. The first being that belt.
Sure. It was, I like the belt. I'm a fan.
Were people crapping all over it?
No, not that I heard. I could see why people might think it's a bit gaudy or something like that.
But I think if you're going to have a championship belt, I think it should be a little gaudy.
Sure.
The only issue I have is that their logo doesn't really match with the style of it.
Yeah, that's
It's fair. A very modern logo, but it's big. There was, they released a video of one of the Young Bucks wearing it. Thing is massive.
Yeah, I mean, but the big gold belt was gigantic too.
Yeah.
Like, the old WCW belt. So, no, the belt I think is great. I think it was cool having Bret Hart there. I do wonder what WWE thinks about that situation. it's awesome. I thought it was a great reveal. I thought it was a great way to reveal it, and
also having MJF come down was interesting because he's another name.
Getting a star over in the process, absolutely.
Yeah, it was also great because WWE just released their new belt, which is hideous.
Yeah, sure. It
was like, oh, you can see an example of a really ugly belt and a beautiful belt. So it was nice.
No, I agree.
The final thing, Chris Jericho's entrance. Were you able to see that?
It was cool.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, it was. I thought that was a nice touch. I wouldn't expect anything less from Jericho on such an occasion. So, yeah, very creative, very cool. It's very Jericho, and it's basically it's him giving himself some self gratification, and that fits his character in AEW perfectly. So, no complaints on my end.
Yeah, nothing. He did that well.
Yeah.
It's also hilarious that his entrance is his own song.
Well, yeah,
I mean, that just fits everything.
I would wonder if he would change that if he ever went babyface. I feel like it's not a great babyface thing to do. It's a great heel thing to do. But, Shawn Michaels had him talking about how he's a sexy boy no matter what his alignment was with the crowd, so maybe it doesn't matter.
Hey, this is a commercial for patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca, where you can get early access to episodes of your favorite WrestleMedia shows, get full uncut and uncensored versions of your favorite shows, and more. Don't want to hear this commercial on your podcast anymore? Sign up at our main event tier and get these episodes ad-free. Want to hear your own commercial here instead of ours? We've got tiers for that too. Visit patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca and join the WrestleMedia revolution today.
Well, Cole, is there anything else that you'd like to add for Double or Nothing or AEW in general?
No, that I think covers it.
All right, well, let's look ahead to next week. Cole, it's my week. I'm a little peeved about TakeOver last night.
Are you? I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
I am a little peeved. So you haven't watched? Well, there's no way for me to do it spoiler free for you, pal. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
But Adam Cole is the new NXT champion.
I like that.
I like that Adam Cole's the new champion, but I think that, I don't see why Johnny Gargano's title win couldn't have meant a little bit more. So it kind of got me thinking about some stuff. And what we're doing next week is 5 unfortunately short title reigns, or just five title reigns that could have meant a whole lot more than they actually did. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week. Cole, do you have anything else to add? Any final thoughts? Any just, go Raptors go or anything like that?
Nothing like that. I think we, have to call somebody out, though, if I got that message correctly.
What are you talking about?
Well, we were recently told that somebody won front row tickets to Chinlock. Were we not?
Oh, did you? You gonna shout the person out or what, Cole? What are you gonna do?
I am going to try and shout them out if I can find that message.
Cool, man. You gotta come more prepared than that, pal.
There's like 2 message boards that it's every 15 minutes.
A little tough one there for sure.
Do you have the message in front of you?
No, you're the one who wanted to shout it out.
Fine. Congratulations to Michael Bensick.
Benson.
No. Sorry if I butchered your last name. Bencic. How do you pronounce it? Oh, I'm definitely getting fired now.
Oh gosh. Okay. I think we're just gonna cut this whole ending off here. I can't find the message. My internet's not working.
Anyways,
there's nothing I can do.
Yeah. Congratulations to Michael Bensick for winning 2 floor seats to the Chinlock 5 event from the newsletter.
All right. Congratulations, Mike. thanks for entering in the contest through our newsletter, and we hope to see you at the show. I'm looking forward to meeting you, shaking your hand, and enjoying the show alongside you, pal. Thanks for joining, and we'll looking forward to seeing you. All right, I guess that just about does it today on We Have Till 5. I have been Andrew, that has been Cole, and when it comes to the 5 best moments from AEW's inaugural pay-per-view Double or Nothing, we're breaking the hold.
This has been a presentation of WrestleMedia, where everything is wrestling and wrestling is everything. Here's what you're missing out on right now over at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca.
In a few years' time, fingers crossed, when the Toronto Maple Leafs are making it to the Stanley Cup Finals and they're looking good, am I going to be upset that thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people are coming to stand at Maple Leaf Square and cheer on the team? Maybe even people who have been making fun of me for being a Leafs fan for the last 30 years of my life? No. Why? Because my team is finally in the finals, and it's fun to be part of that mentality. I think it's so silly, and I think it's so selfish for any fan to be frustrated with the success of their team leading to the passion, even if it's a temporary passion, of other people.
Want more? Sign up now at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca.